If life feels slower lately, it doesn't mean life has become smaller. If the pace feels slower, it doesn't mean the journey has stopped. Sometimes, life is simply inviting us to look deeper. At this age, many things seem simple, but that's precisely where the meaning of life often hides. Not in the big things, but in the small habits that we often take for granted. Imagine a quiet morning. Light slowly streams in through the window. A cup of warm drink in hand. Life feels quiet, or is it just calm? Amidst the silence, there are gentle messages that want to be heard. Remember this: age doesn't erase the meaning of life. It just changes how we experience it. These stories aren't about fear. They aren't about regret. This is a story about how life in old age can still feel warm, close, and meaningful. About opening up. About self-care. About sharing feelings. And about finding direction, no matter how small. If you feel this video speaking softly to your heart, it might be for you. Calm. No rush. No judgment. Just a gentle reminder that life is still beautiful to live. Imagine you're walking through a beautiful old town. The buildings are still sturdy. The streets are quiet. But one house catches your eye. It's clean, well maintained. But the curtains are always drawn. The lights are rarely on. The door is almost never opened. It's not because the house is in disrepair. It's not because the owner is absent. It's because the house has been closed off for too long. Many people don't realize. Old age often turns us into something like that house. It's not because age makes us weak, but because we slowly withdraw from the world that still wants to greet us. Today, we'll discuss the first of 4 mistakes in old age that may seem trivial, but can slowly erode the joy of life. Don't worry. This isn't a scare video. It's a heartwarming story about how life in old age can still be meaningful. Before we go any further, if you find stories like this helpful, if you believe that old age is still worth filling with smiles and hope, please support this channel by hitting the subscribe and like buttons. Your support helps us spread a simple message. Life doesn't stop with age. Thank you for being part of this journey. Now, let's get to the main story. Mistake 1. Closing yourself off. This mistake often sounds perfectly reasonable. I'm old, I'd rather stay home. I don't want to bother anyone. The kids are busy, let them be. These sentences sound mature. They sound wise. But if repeated daily, these sentences can turn into a wall of silence. Imagine life like a window. The window doesn't need to be wide open. Just a little bit, to let in light, to let in fresh air. If the window is constantly closed, it's not the storm that destroys the house, but the air that stops moving. Imagine a grandmother who sweeps the same yard every morning. Her movements are slow, but neat. She brews tea in her favorite cup. She sits in the same chair. The radio plays softly. The early days feel peaceful, but over time, the silence begins to feel heavy. Not because she doesn't have a home, not because she lacks anything, but because no new interactions flow into her life. Yet, just one brief conversation, one smile from another person. That day can feel different. Old age is often thought of as a time to stop. In reality, we simply change speed. If life used to run, now it's a leisurely stroll, and a leisurely stroll actually gives us time to look around, hear stories, and enjoy small moments. There's no age limit to laughter over simple things. There's no rule forbidding gray-haired people from being happy. Life in old age is like a small garden. A garden doesn't need expensive fertilizer. It doesn't need excessive decoration. It just needs regular watering, sunlight, and the occasional passerby. If a garden is enclosed by a high fence, never greeted, never seen, the flowers will wither, not from age, but from lack of attention. So it is with humans. Isolating oneself is not protection. Isolating oneself is often just a habit. Once again, loneliness is not the problem, but rejecting relationships is what hurts. Old age doesn't make us unnecessary. The world is just waiting for us to open the door a crack. Many seniors around the world find happiness in very simple things. A morning walk while greeting others, sitting on a park bench. A short chat in a small shop. It's not a long conversation that's needed. Just a sense of connection. Because humans, at any age, still need warmth. Today we learn an important lesson. Life doesn't become narrower with age, but because we stop opening ourselves up. This first mistake seems small, but its impact is huge. Next, we will discuss the second mistake of old age, which is often considered normal, and even called a sign of maturity, but can actually quietly weaken your zest for life. This mistake isn't loud. It's not obvious, but its effects are felt slowly. Like a ticking hourglass, many people go through their days without realizing that their zest for life is slowly diminishing. The second mistake, stopping self-care because they feel no longer important. This mistake often begins with a single thought. Why bother taking care of yourself? I'm old, who cares? The important thing is to be healthy. This sentence sounds reasonable, but if left too long, this thought can turn into a feeling of self-indulgence. Imagine an old clock that's still ticking well. Its movement is strong. Its time is accurate, but because it's rarely cleaned, rarely maintained, dust slowly accumulates. It's not because the clock is broken, but because it's been neglected. Imagine a grandfather who used to always comb his hair neatly. Now he says, no need. He still showers. He still eats. He still lives, but something has changed. Not in the mirror, but in his heart. When someone stops taking care of themselves, it's not the body that gives up first, but self-esteem. Self-care isn't about looking young. It's not about following fashion. Self-care is a subtle way of telling the world, I'm still here. Even a small plant in the corner of a window will look fresher if its leaves are cleaned a little. Humans are the same. Life in old age is like a ship that has sailed far. It's full of stories, full of experiences, but when the ship docks in port, it still needs to be painted, cleaned, and maintained. Not to sail far again, but to remain respectable and strong. Self-care is not arrogance. Self-care is respect, once again. Not for others, but for oneself. Age never takes away a person's right to feel valuable. Many seniors around the world find simple joy in small routines, waking up in the morning, grooming themselves calmly, wearing comfortable clothes, smiling in the mirror, not because they want to be seen, but because they want to appreciate life. This second mistake seems trivial, but if left unchecked, it slowly erodes their spirit. Self-care isn't about age. Self-care is a sign that life is still worth celebrating. Next, we will discuss the third mistake of old age, which is often hidden behind polite words and good intentions. This mistake doesn't seem like a mistake. It's often called a sacrifice. However, if left unchecked, it slowly drains the joy of life. This mistake doesn't harm the body, but it can leave the heart heavy. Mistake 3. Keeping your feelings to yourself too often. Many people in old age say, I'm fine. I can handle it myself. No need to tell me. This statement sounds strong. It sounds mature. But if said too often, it can become a silent burden. Imagine an old suitcase that is filled every day. At first, it's light. But over time, the suitcase becomes difficult to carry. Not because the suitcase is bad, but because it's too full. Imagine a grandmother who always smiles when she meets others. She listens to everyone's stories. She gives advice. She looks calm. But when night falls, the house becomes silent. The chairs are empty. The lights are dim. That's where all the feelings that have never been shared come together. Humans are not cupboards. They are not places to keep everything to themselves. Even cupboards, if they're too full, the door is difficult to close. Feelings are the same. Sharing stories isn't a sign of weakness. Sometimes, it's just a sign that we're still human. Feelings are like a river. When they flow, the water is clear. When they're held back, the water becomes murky. It's not because the river is bad, but because the flow has stopped. Talking, telling stories, or simply being heard, is how the river keeps flowing. Holding in feelings for too long exhausts the heart. Stories don't have to be long. Just be honest. Age doesn't erase the human need to be heard. In many places around the world, seniors find solace in simple habits, chatting on a park bench, calling an old friend, sharing a short story, not to find a grand solution, but to lighten the heart. Sometimes, a single sentence coming from the heart is more valuable than 1,000 thoughts kept to ourselves. This third mistake seems small, but if left unchecked, it can weigh down our hearts. Without us realizing it, life isn't meant to be lived alone. In our heads, there's one more mistake that often occurs in old age. This final mistake is often considered the most trivial, even though its impact is profound. Next, we will discuss the fourth mistake of old age, a mistake that is often considered trivial, but can secretly make life feel empty. This mistake doesn't sound harsh. It doesn't cause major problems. But slowly, it takes away a sense of direction in life. Many people don't realize that happiness isn't just about health, but also about purpose. Mistake 4. Stopping having a purpose in life in old age. Many people calmly say, "Just get on with it. There's nothing left to pursue. The important thing is that the day passes." This sentence sounds peaceful. But if we're not careful, it can turn into a life without direction. Imagine a small boat that's still strong, still afloat, but has no destination. The boat doesn't sink, it just drifts around, going with the current. Imagine a grandfather who wakes up every morning without a plan. He eats, he sits, he waits for time to pass. Nothing is wrong. But the days feel long, and the weeks feel the same. Not because life is bad, but because there's nothing to look forward to with enthusiasm. The purpose of life in old age doesn't have to be grand. There's no need to conquer the world. There's no need to make history. Even a small plant has a simple purpose, to grow towards the light. And that's enough. Life is like a candle. As long as it's lit, its light is meaningful. The purpose of life is the reason the candle is lit. Not to burn out, but to illuminate the surroundings. The purpose of life knows no age. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be meaningful. As long as we're still breathing, we can still give meaning. In various countries, many older people find simple purposes. Tending plants, reading a book slowly, writing memories, being a good listener. Small goals often bring great happiness. Because life isn't about how long we live, but about how we live it. The 4 mistakes of old age are not signs of failure. They are just gentle reminders. Closing yourself off. Stopping taking care of yourself. Keeping your feelings to yourself. And losing your purpose in life. All of these can be fixed. Slowly, with a little awareness. Old age is not the end of the story. It is a calmer, deeper, and more meaningful chapter. And as long as the heart remains open, life always has light. If you can still hear this voice today, if you can still take a slow breath, then your life is not over. You may have grown older. Your steps may have slowed, but the meaning of life is never determined by speed. It is determined by the presence of the heart. Throughout this video, we have walked together through the little things that are often taken for granted. Not to blame, not to regret the past, but to gently remind that life at this age is still worth caring for, still worth celebrating. We learn that opening ourselves is a way to make room for light. Self-care is a form of respect for life. Sharing feelings is a way to lighten the heart. And having a purpose, no matter how small, is a reason to wake up each morning with gratitude. Imagine life like the evening sun. The light is not as bright as the morning, but rather warmer. It is not rushed. It is not noisy. But each ray contains peace. Old age isn't about fading light, but about light becoming softer and deeper. You still matter. You are still needed. You still have a story. It's not age that determines the value of life, but how we live it. As long as the heart can still feel, life still has meaning. Thank you for taking the time to watch until the end. Thank you for walking together. In this meaningful silence, may this video be a warm friend, a gentle reminder, and a little hug on quiet days. If this message touched your heart, don't forget to like this video. Please share it with others who might need a gentle reminder like this. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our future videos, created with great respect for this precious age. Also, turn on the notification bell, so every warm message can accompany your time. And if you like, leave a comment below. Just one sentence is enough. Your story can be an encouragement to others. Always remember, life doesn't get smaller with age, it actually becomes more meaningful when lived with a calm heart. May your days be peaceful. May your steps be light. And may your life always be filled with gratitude. Thank you.